A licence is a lie to me. A licence is somebody has to take a right away from you, then you have to give them money or fulfil a certain set of criteria to be given permission back. Who has the right to do that to another person? Or a group of people, or an industry? I would argue that nobody has the right to do that.
That's £2 a week before you've even pulled a point that you have to make back, that no other late licensed venue in Europe has to pay. Like in Ireland, that's the only place. Like, that's just a money racket. You know, that's another reason why the Department of Justice don't want to maybe relinquish control of that, is because all that money comes into their coffers. But that will be something that needs to be scrapped immediately. And I think that the power for licensing should really go to people in local communities.
In my experience, like, I can remember even starting off as a DJ when I was doing commercial gigs like bars, nightclubs, that type of thing. You always had a bouncer breathing down your neck towards the end of the night, stuff like, oh, the guards are outside, we have to finish at 2 o'clock. So I think from certainly the time I started, it always seemed to be as strict as it is now, and there wasn't really any leeway. I mean, you hear stories of certain nightclubs where leeway is given. I haven't really experienced that at all anywhere, and at this stage I've played the length and breadth of the country. Totally different story obviously in other countries where they have different licensing laws, but no, it's pretty stringent here, and I think the reason is because the Gardaí have so much power when it comes to the actual licensing process. If a superintendent or an inspector or whoever stands up in court and says to a judge, we are not recommending a late licence because of A, B, C or D, or no letters even sometimes, well, the judge isn't going to grant it. So bar owners and managers, etc., they're really keen to make sure that they keep the Gardaí on side because they're reliant on them for the licence. In terms of raising awareness, Give Us the Night have been invaluable. If it wasn't for Give Us the Night, I don't think we'd be sitting here having this conversation now. If it wasn't for Give Us the Night, I don't think politicians in any shape or form would be aware that there is an issue and that there is a desire for change around that issue. I don't know of any other group that have been as vocal or as active in that regard, and I think the beauty of the organisation is over the years, there are obviously a number of people, Sunil Sharp being one, who have been there from day one, and they've worked tirelessly towards the goals and the aims, i.e. changing licensing laws for the better.
I think the Give Us the Night campaign has been doing a lot of good work. I know there's an element of their supporters that feel that it's not moving fast enough. There were some suggestions during the summer that we should all take to the streets to make this more of a headline issue. I don't think that's really going to work. I think that's more likely to be a stick that the opposition or the people against change would use to beat you with. I do sometimes get frustrated myself that there seems to be nothing moving. Government and the opposition TDs seem to be ignoring it. But I do know that, for example, Sunil from the Give Us the Night campaign, he's been invited by the Dublin City Council to a lot of meetings about planning for nightlife, and they certainly are considering looking at changing things. And again, I do get that people are frustrated that all seems to be moving a little bit slow, but the very fact that they invited him, he didn't go knocking on their door and saying, here, please let me come to these meetings and let me see what goes on. They said, come in here and we'll show you how you do things, and we would welcome you to give us any suggestions that you have for how we might change things for the better of everyone, because I think they realise too that the boon that it could be for tourism is huge.
I'd like to see that it's up to the operators or managers or owners of the premises to decide whether to open or close and at a certain hour themselves. Other than that, because everyone congregates at the one time when nightclubs or bars shut, 12:30, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, they all congregate into one area, and that's where you get your arguments and fights looking for taxis. So I would recommend it's up to the owners to close the pubs at their own discretion.
€410 a night for extra half hour. and every other pub is staying open anyway. Smaller places are keeping people in, big places are paying, and then they're getting shut down early.
Traditionally, we're a country where people like to go out to socialise, more so than a lot of other European countries, and most countries around the world indeed. That is inextricably linked to drinking in this country as well, for whatever reason. But that being what it is, people are going to drink no matter what. So wouldn't it make a whole lot of sense to change the laws to allow for a situation whereby people could drink in a more controlled way? They could pace themselves much better. I think the drink culture would change. It doesn't mean people would necessarily drink less, but imagine people drank the same. Let's say somebody goes out and has 6 pints in a night. Wouldn't it make a hell of a lot more sense for them to have those 6 pints between, say, 10 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock at night and 6 in the morning than it would going out at 10 o'clock at night and having to finish at whatever time it might be, 2 o'clock?
Every small town in every city is not going to want or need clubs that open till 5 or 6 in the morning. From my own experience, whether going clubbing in Ireland or whether going clubbing in London, if a club does open till 6 or 8 in the morning, usually by 4 o'clock half the people have gone home anyway, on the last bus or the last taxi or whatever. Like, not everyone stays till the end, so by allowing clubs the opportunity and the power to decide their own opening hours, I don't think it's going to turn us all into a nation of alcoholics, as sometimes is suggested.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
The way you drop it low, pop it, then bring it back.